Hello, good evening, welcome. It's December the 15th, so 10 days to go to Christmas, and I say Merry Christmas to you. All right, welcome to the last Hangout edition for the week, and I am Jones Hussein. Today on the program, court holds sack of more than 20,000 Kaduna teachers. Chief Justice of Nigeria warns judges to beware of politicians as 2019 elections draw closer. And later on, we'll talk about INEC tending to prosecute Kogi governor for double registration. In the process, sacks 2 staff. I'm hanging out with Ayo Makinde, Bola Olajuwon, and Akinola Afolabi. Please feel welcome. Gentlemen, I greet all of you and welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we'll be ready to hit the road. Please don't go away. All right, then, the interesting times we live in this country continue without hindrance. In Kaduna State, a seeming progressive move by Governor Nasir El-Rufai to weed out 20,000 supposed unfit teachers from primary schools across the state has been given a knock. The National Industrial Court of Nigeria, Kaduna Division, halted the planned action pending the determination of the substantive suit. So what's going on here? I'm wondering where you start from, you know. The good intention, I hear good intentions don't hurt anybody.
Well,
this was one of them.
I don't know who has this good intention now.
The governor.
I think what is important here is to even recognize what's going on. First of all, on the one hand is the fact that the teachers, these 20,000 or more teachers, set an examination for primary 4 students. Now, the governor felt that they themselves should first of all sit for the same exam that they have set for their own pupils, whom they have been teaching for a while. I saw some of the answer scripts. Jones, I am ashamed to be an adult in the ilk of those same guys, because we're about the same, you know, age, if you like, you know, elders as well. Now, the governor apparently had, as you said, good intentions in saying this cannot continue. What are the implications? One of the implications is, and I saw a short video clip by a woman, one of the implications is that continually, we continue to see a situation where more and more people tend to, look at the JAMB, you know, cutoff marks and everything for the North, as opposed to the cutoff mark for the South. What are we saying? We're essentially saying that Northerners are not smart. And that is one of the things that I believe that this fellow, the governor, wanted to readdress and say, no. If it's 220 in Lagos, it should be 220 in Kaduna. And that, I think, is a good intention. Okay, now with this development now, sincerely, honestly, I don't know what to say at this point. Although we could also say that, okay, what exactly is what's the intention of the industrial court here? Who is the one, you know, that's discussing this whole thing? This does not mean that the teachers will not be sacked, in my opinion. It just means that let's do proper things.
Yeah, but I don't think you have any direct palaver with the industrial court. It's doing its job. We'll get back to that. Bola, when this subject matter first broke, yes, we were wondering if the National Union of Teachers in Kaduna State was not embarrassed.
You see, they should be, because before Nasiru El-Rufai came up with the issue of the test, there was a conference that the Teacher Council, Nigeria Teacher Council or something like that, and Nigeria Union of Teachers, they had this conference. And they agreed that teachers must register and teachers must pass the exam of the council. Now, when the issue of the governor coming up with the test came in, then who is Kaduna State's, what do they call it, NUT,
yeah,
to now say they don't agree. See, let me tell you what, it is terrible because the issue of the poor rating in exam, we are celebrating it now. You will see that, look, when they sack all of them, some will still come back and enter the system. In the first instance, is there anything like continuing education? I don't know.
I remember there was
continuing
education. Yeah.
Because the state government, the state government want to tell us that in the past few years, let's say 5 years, 10 years, nothing like budgets to say that, look, these teachers should go for training, should go for, one thing or the other. As you rightly said, the issue of merits, if we want to go by merit, we should go by merit in this country.
Yeah.
And the issue of quota system and the issue of saying catchment area, I believe that at this age where we are in this country, we should jettison them.
Afolabi, again, I know, except you have something to add to that. Otherwise, I was going to go to unity schools. The idea was superb. Don't know if you remember that.
Yes, I think a very brilliant argument canvassed by my colleagues.
Yes.
I think I used to have a friend then who attended Unity School in those days. He made 81s, Obolo Oluremi. I think he's now a senior military officer in the Nigerian military in those days then. He attended Unity Secondary School in Odiaye then. And by and large, my argument is this. No matter how good your intention is, the legality of addressing the ills and perils of such intentions is very important. We are operating democracy. We are not a military system. We have, 3 arms of government, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. As good as the intention of the governor of Kaduna State is, the court will challenge such legality. Because take, for instance...
The court does not, except you bring the
case
matter
to the court. What I'm saying is that if these gentlemen were recruited in a normal process, the due process must also be followed in ejecting them from the system. Because if you don't do that, as good as that intention is, at the end of the day, we might not get the result we are talking about. Because in the first instance, if the governor is now becoming an examiner, because take, for instance, I cannot be a judge in your own case. This is very key. And I'm not surprised either, because the governor made a first class from ABU. So you expect some level of sanity in his own policy as a governor. You don't expect somebody who made a first class to become a governor in a state, and you expect him to parade people who will not nurture the standard of education in that society.
You just talked about democracy, okay, which is about rule of law and so on.
And due process.
So you can't chastise the NUT for having gone to court, or could you?
No, that's why I'm saying that the industrial court is doing it just like what you have said. It's doing there because otherwise those who feel aggrieved at the end of the day will also challenge. They will challenge. Do you understand? Okay. So if the governor had done it, in my opinion, because we said this the other day I was there, that look, there are statutory bodies who are supposed to examine.
Okay. The governor didn't have to be the examiner himself. If
the governor is now the examiner, the legality of the constitutionality of such will be challenged.
Right. Let's get something
His good intention is fine, but the process is important.
My brother, the teacher sat for the exam that the pupils sat for.
Yeah.
Then what are we saying?
Who organized that?
If you can, they are the people.
Who set the exam?
The teachers must have.
The examining body is key. Who set that exam?
Then why, in the first instance, why did they give the same exam to the pupil in the first instance? And the people sat for the exam, and then it was terrible. And the governor, no, I'm not supporting El-Rufai. You should know where El-Rufai is coming up from. See what he did in Abuja. Okay, they said, look, from the road, there must be a distance of
I think meters. 50 to 100 meters from the expressway.
When he got there, he extended it.
Oh, yeah.
Then what happened? Heaven didn't fall. Abuja is good for it now. See, let me tell you, let's get something. When we are talking of merit and due process, we should remember that, look, these kids will end up being the leader of tomorrow. You understand me? And look, as he said, the issue of unity school. King's College, about 5 years ago, my son did well. But when we got there, we didn't see his name. We saw the name of somebody from Taraba 40.
It's all right, it's all right. Ayo, do you see Governor El-Rufai going on appeal?
This is not, there is no judgment yet. There is no hearing yet anyway. What I am hoping for is that good sense will come to play. The NUT went to court, and I'm ashamed.
Of what?
On their behalf.
Who? Okay.
I'm disturbed by unions who only carry arms when things don't seem to be going their way. The NLC will not carry arms until it's salaries. NUPENG will not carry arms until it has to do with money. Any of these guys will not, and the NUT is now carrying arms simply because the welfare of some of their teachers are going to be disturbed. Have they also considered the future of the people
children
whose lives they are putting on an imbalance? I'm also sympathetic, because I had this conversation after the first time we had this discussion. I'm also sympathetic to the families that will be affected by the sack of these 20,000 people. But which one is, because their own children are also part of these people whose lives are in danger.
So you're saying parents should be another angle to the whole discourse?
If parents should come into this, will parents even be allowed to come into this mix in the first place? If parents were to sue the NUT for this, I don't even know what to call it, will they be able to stand?
For this action.
Now, on the one hand, is NUT now carrying arms? On the other hand,
in whose interest?
In whose interest is NUT now saying this? In the interest of the teachers, fine. Who is speaking on the interest of the parents? Who is speaking on the interest of the children? Who is speaking on the interest of the future of Nigeria?
Falabi, these are really interesting times.
And these are
very interesting
times. But the logic here is this. Like I said earlier, fantastic and good intentions. But the moment, because law is also funny, because it's not esoteric. Some other people also come through other guys. And look, the moment you did not follow, you refuses one way or the other to follow due process.
All right, we must go on this break. Please stay. We have a robust debate on our arms and hands too. So stay there. We'll be back. I'm mighty glad you're still there at the TV, and the first subject for discussion is the planned sack of 20,000 plus teachers in Kaduna State by Governor Nasir El-Rufai. The teachers' union there had gone to court, and Mr. Justice Lawal Mani had granted what you call an application pending the determination of what we have already. So what
I'm saying is, as a civil servant, there are rules of engagement and disengagement. If you do not follow such rules, at the end of the day, your good intentions will be insulted. Because take, for instance, the governor said he already had about 21,000, of course, people that are also qualified to come into the... who, of course, are from Kaduna State. The issue is that the majority of those people who are on their way out now, let me just put it that way, were also part and parcel of that state. He is not going to recruit angels. At the end of the day, if due process is not followed, we'll also come back to the status quo. That is my worry. Legally, that is my worry.
Yeah. Okay, we have a call from Kaduna State, and not surprisingly so. So let's bring in Habong in Kaduna. How are you, sir?
I'm very fine, Citizen John.
I greet you, sir. Let's go.
Thank you very much. Good evening to all of you at the studio.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, I want to contribute over the issue you are discussing. Hello?
You are on. Go on.
Yes. Yeah. You see, by the grace of God, I am a teacher trainer. Because I lecture at the Kaduna State College of Education in Gidanwaya. So the point here is that any examination, like some of you are contributing there, is a good one. There is a statutory body that is qualified to set exam for teachers. The governor can never be an examiner. It is completely wrong. I am a teacher trainer. So again, there is no institution in the whole wide world where the pass mark is 75%. You need to take note of his pass mark. The pass mark was 75%. Even Oxford University, there is nowhere in the world where you cut the pass mark to be 75%.
Yeah, Abong, if you like us to interject, are you happy with the situation there now?
No, I am not happy with the situation. But what I'm saying is like you are people contributed in the studio, there is need for due process.
Yeah.
There are some people that are, when the governor came, there are cleaners, there are people who don't have the minimum teaching qualification, which is NCE, that have been moved into, he asked them, he directed that they should be moved into the classroom to teach. Among these same people, he gave those examinations to those cleaners, those gardeners to go and write examinations. If you see the scripts being displayed on the internet there, if you check the qualifications, some of them are grade 2, some of them are SSE. Those ones are not qualified to teach. The minimum teaching qualification is NCE.
Yeah.
Has he considered that? So the point we are making here is that he did not follow due process, and it is the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria. That's the statutory body that's supposed to set examination for the teacher.
Yeah, yeah.
So everything that he did completely is wrong, because forget the fact that he has a first class degree in what? Quantity survey. Is that what we're talking about? We are talking about people that are authority in the teaching profession. People that have master's, doctorate degree in teaching profession. We have.
Yeah. Okay. Many thanks, my brother. I would have loved to ask him, is a teacher of teachers. We used to have teacher training colleges here and there. I don't know what's happening with them or to them as we speak. Because
the situation is that you can, from the argument canvas so far, you realize that most of those people who were tested, let me just put it that way, were not people initially employed to even be teachers by their qualification, maybe cleaners and all that.
So who engaged them?
You know, previous I would say, I would have loved a situation where if the governor does it in a way where we can separate, you know,
the wheat from the chaff,
which is possible. Yeah. Which is possible. And if we can even say, okay, everybody, we should go for screening. Let them submit their credentials. So from the submission of the credentials, we can do the proper separation. So by conducting such examination, we are trying to paint the state in a very dark light. But like I have said again, due process is not excusable in a democratic setting. Because the moment we ignore that, the court will not look about what is good alone. The court will always appreciate logic of presentation.
Forgive my assumption, but I would assume already that being in a democracy, I would assume that a governor in the ilk of Nasir El-Rufai, who's been a minister, would know such a thing as due process. And I would assume that he would not just come to the school and say, 22,000 of you, you are all sacked. I think there has to be some measure of due process, because he knows how the civil service runs. Yeah. That I want to assume. I don't think he'll just come from government house, dish pay letters to all of them and say, you are sacked, here are your displacement or whatever. That's
otherwise, we are not saying that Kaduna State, a cosmopolitan environment, I don't expect the governor to just go to town. Are you saying he never discussed with people?
See, the issue of saying that the people that sat for the exams or the people they move into the classroom were cleaners, I don't want to believe. You understand me? I don't want to believe in totality. See, the governor might have, discussed this issue with some people, but I wouldn't know. But now what we are saying is this, at least class 4, primary 4 exams. You are a cleaner, they moved you to the classroom and you agreed. Now they said you will sit for exam, you start for exam. Now they said you failed the exam. See, I don't know. But look, the issue is that when they get to the, what do they call it? They will cross the bridge.
I think if you forget, I think it's even an insult to assume that it was cleaners that sat for primary 4 exams, and the NUT is defending them.
I'm not looking at it from that angle. The angle I'm looking at from what that fellow called and what I've been discussing, even the
danger, Falabi, is to read politics into it.
If you politicize due process, then you are not even a Democrat. I don't want us to promote emperors. Due process must be followed. The statutory body must, if they are failing, they are failing. Let statutory body that are supposed to conduct this exam be the judge. But because in this case, if the statutory body has conducted that exam, the governor will just even be on the fence. There are ways you can do to even be clever with whatever intention you want to do. If you ignore the due process, I don't want to appear like a journalist that is not democratic. I want us to be
I don't want to believe that.
I want us to appreciate due process.
I don't think
I want us to appreciate statutory bodies.
I don't want to believe the governor did it unilaterally.
Is it possible for the governor to sit in his office and conduct exams for 21?
It's becoming unilateral
Wait. I'm not defending
It's
the
becoming
governor.
unilateral when you ignore statutory bodies.
I'm not saying that.
That is becoming unilateral.
Let's agree. Let's look into, let's put something into perspective. Is it possible for the governor to sit in his office or to sit in his
and
conduct exams? You know, for more than
would he go from school to school?
No. Okay, that is another question. Now,
I've been looking online now. Sorry, forgive me. I've been trying to check online to find out the process. But apparently, it's a Kaduna State government thing, and the teachers, the civil service is all part of Kaduna State. I don't know the machinery that was used, but I'm waiting. The case, before us now is that the industrial court has put a hold on it.
The action on hold.
Get their salaries until February when the hearing begins. But this matter should not be allowed to sail.
Ayo, get their salaries until February, gentlemen. What happens to teaching? What happens to teaching in the meantime?
In the meantime.
That means impacting knowledge into kids to the people will suffer. The society will end up suffering for it.
And some of them will become
councillors
and chairmen of local
cleaners.
Chairmen.
That means
suffering and paying for it.
Paying for it, and also paying cleaners that are supposed not to be in the classroom. If that should be the case, is that what we are saying?
It's our role as a journalist to always sensitize and educate people at the heads of affairs that the needful should be done. Unless the right thing is done, the right thing can hardly be achieved. We must promote such avenues in governance. It is because we don't want to set a precedent. Because let me be honest, if this goes this way, you'll be surprised.
I agree with you.
The governor in some other state tomorrow can just say, look,
this
is how I want to do my own.
No, Afolabi, gentlemen, we're talking education here, which is the bedrock.
Education.
It is the bedrock.
Okay, if they ask you now as a journalist, who conducted this exam, what would be your answer as a journalist?
Kaduna
State. I'm asking.
I was not there. So
Kaduna
who
State.
Conducted?
According to reports, Kaduna State. And Kaduna State must have their own, the process by which they conducted kind of things. I wasn't there. You weren't there.
The basis.
Apparently, even we as journalists, we haven't done our due diligence in telling us which agency of government conducted that examination.
The basis of reportorial skills in journalism dictates the law of inverted pyramid. If they ask you who, if you fail to answer the word who in inverted pyramid, then journalism is becoming very unscholarly.
Kaduna State government.
Very important, please. Who conducted this exam must be answered by journalists. Because I don't want us to appear judgmental. In as much as we want sanity to be
No, we don't want to do anything sub judice here. The process will be on, but we are broaching the matters that brought us to this stage. Was it proper for somebody to have gone to court on behalf of the teachers? The answer is yes.
Yes, it's proper. As a trade union.
Good. Is it proper what's going on educationally in Kaduna State? Perhaps no.
No, it's not proper.
But is it proper to right this wrong, Afolabi?
Yeah, it's proper.
And how do you start?
The best way to start this is to look at the precedent and the process in which some of them even came into the teaching profession in the first instance. And it's unfortunate in Nigeria. Majority of our politicians politicized employment. Because in the first instance, you realize that these people, so to speak, were recruited by the last administration, probably maybe by PDP, before El-Rufai.
The last administration, leave PDP. This goes beyond APC, PDP thing. Yeah.
Before El-Rufai came into power.
Yeah.
And it couldn't have been done.
And I know, for him, maybe he couldn't have employed those category of teachers in the first instance, looking at his own pedigree.
All right, Adetoro is here in Lagos. Adetoro, how do you? Yeah.
I want to contribute on the issue of teachers. The problem of poor standard of teacher will continue with us for a very long time. I can't see us even getting out of it in 10 years from now. Because as long as you continue to do the same thing, the same way, there's no way you can get a different result.
All right.
To any school, it's not a question of Kaduna alone. It's all over the country, even here in the southwest, in the south, even in Lagos.
Okay.
Most of the so-called trained teachers are not trained. I remember the man speaking with you here is an illiterate. I never had secondary school education, just modern school. 1969, 70, 71, 72, I was a teacher at St. Andrew's Primary School, Ikpe, in Akoko. Now, I remember then how vigorously teachers, the way they were coming to our school for teacher training. That is teacher training college at Akoko. The training was so thorough. After they closed at 2 o'clock, they would go and prepare their lesson notes and a lot of practical things which they would teach. Teachers were really trained then.
Yeah.
All these are nowhere now. We don't have any teacher training colleges in the country. If we are not deceiving ourselves.
Okay then.
No single teacher training college in Nigeria anymore.
Okay.
And
that's problem enough. That you don't have teacher training colleges. And the gentleman who called from Kaduna said he was a teacher of teachers. I would have loved him to be here in person because when he introduced the subject and said, you know, people like cleaners and what have you were made to teach. If this had been going on for a while, are we saying nobody was there to see the damage?
I think very unforgivably. Let me just put it that way.
Yes.
In those days that he was talking about, teachers were paid as at when due. In advanced countries, remuneration is key to labor. Don't be surprised that in the recent past now, the president has bailed out states for so many reasons and all that.
Avoidably too.
Honestly, and don't be surprised that most of the governors were not even paying salaries regularly, which affects some of the core teaching staff. And I've separated this, that hunger and fasting are never the same. They are never the same.
No, they couldn't
The
be.
best of genius, like I've said, will make blunders when you're hungry.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Even in genius, do you expect wonders when you are not well remunerated?
Yeah.
Some of us are here today because we are, at least reasonably, we are I won't say we are not well fed.
Because
Because from your size, from the size I'm looking at. So if you are discussing about teachers with this size.
As you Yorubas would say, inu didun ni moriya. You know,
our teachers were well paid.
How do we
in
break
those
that down in English?
That's
If a happy man, if a happy mind
an
will
angry
be
man is even an angry man.
Yeah.
While an angry man is an unreasonable man. Unreasonable man could be very violent. Is a violent man.
Yeah.
Now the question we need to ask that: are teachers well remunerated? Because now teaching job, in fact, the reward is now becoming more of heaven.
I don't mind.
It's becoming more spiritual.
I don't mind us going along this tangent for sentimental reasons.
No, it's not
so
sentimental.
To speak, forgive me, so to
Hunger?
speak. However, I am very, very particular, and thank God that the governor can talk. If this governor hadn't raised this issue, 20 years from now, those children that will be released
Would have been graduates.
would have been graduates.
Would have been
and
commissioners.
Thank you.
And so on.
20 years from now.
And would have been at the National Assembly joining the team to make laws for.
And so these are the long-term implications that I have seen. I also agree with you, Afolabi, that we need to ensure that there is due process. But was there due process in bringing them in the first place? On the one hand. On the other hand, what kind of competency test brought them in?
Okay, then.
There are so many
Okay, then,
things.
all right, the debate must continue. That's the essence of this program. We provoke the debate and allow you to make up your minds. Now, we are going on a break. When we come back, Nigeria's Chief Justice warns colleagues to beware of politicians as 2019 elections draw near. Stay with us. Okay, then, welcome back. Nigeria's Chief Justice, Walter Onoye, wants to, like Caesar's wife, be above suspicion. He warned his colleagues of the bench to be wary of politicians because, in his words, let me quote him, they are desperate of destroying us. The CJN observed in his homily to justices of the Court of Appeal in the nation's capital, Abuja, that in the frenzied political activities leading to the 2019 general elections, they, the politicians, would, quote him again, do anything not necessarily legal to have their way. He's not just crying wolf.
That is the truth.
He's not just crying wolf.
Yes, I agree. You see, in the last few months, we've seen a lot, and we've had a lot in respect of security agencies going into the houses of judges. You understand me? And then they came up with what they saw, and the nation was alarmed. Not only that, you understand me? Many people, like politicians, they are the people corrupting, mostly, not only politicians, corrupting these judges. And for the chief judge to say, look, the election...
The chief justice.
The chief justice.
Yeah.
And the chief judge, is it the chief judge of the Court of Appeal?
Okay, then. Okay.
The two of them, for them to tell them that, look, the time is here again. Be very careful. Yes. They must take note of that. If not because of that, they just sacked about 2. And they won about 4. Many people will still go.
Afolabi, there are still cases, unresolved electoral cases at the courts, dating back to 2003. Are you surprised?
No, I'm not. First of all, let's even give kudos to the judiciary. They have, to a very great extent, to most good students of history, they really, define the very democracy we are talking about. Because the law must be tested. You understand? What the CGN has said is not wrong. Of course, in his capacity as somebody who was in control of that event, that very moment, he has to address his colleagues in a way that, look, judiciary must not be ridiculed, which is a very good advice. But at the same time, judiciary, the law must be tested. In as much as, politicians will be coming from looking at one legality of an action to the other again, the court must also rise to defend the interests of democracy. Because in most cases, we've seen instances where INEC, we even say, look, you can't even contest. I remember then, I think Atiku Abubakar went to court and challenged, because when he decamped from his political party that brought him to power, when he decamped to other party, and he was still the vice president. And then the party then declared the seat of the seat of the vice president vacant.
Yeah.
Then he went to court. The court ruled that the vice president is not an employee of the president. These are legal precedents, which gives the democracy the kind of robust atmosphere we are talking about.
Yeah, okay.
If the law has been silent, a lot of illegality and injustice, will have been going on. So I'm happy. It strengthens the constitutionality of democracy in Nigeria if the law is tested. In the area of corruption, we can address that. But the law must be tested, because there are cases that will not even get to the Supreme Court. That is the area where the Chief Justice was looking at. Now, if you are not doing things properly, you might not get justice. At the same time, most of the lawyers are not even helping matters. Because before you know it, they will start filing a lot of applications.
But they are also the conduits.
You understand? So, but the issue is that I must appreciate our judges. They are doing a fantastic job. Even the legal profession in Nigeria, they have been very fantastic. Because without them, the very democracy we are talking about today will not be in this direction.
Ayo, the CJN also said, let me quote him, removing from our midst undesirable questions of questionable undesirable persons of questionable character, end quote. So how do you remove them?
That's what's on my mind.
Okay.
The questionable
Out with
character
it,
part
yeah.
of it. That questionable character part of it is not part of the legal training. It's not part of your training as a judge. It's not part of your training in the judiciary. It's who you are. It's what you are. So what if someone comes and says, do this, or pretty much blackmail the judge into submission? What happens? So this is not just a warning about performing right. It's a warning about you being above board in terms of character. We are not all perfect, but I think to a large extent, what the Chief Justice is saying is a lot in line of your deliverable as a Justice of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but more importantly, your character. Because if a politician cannot get you if they cannot get you in terms of your competence, and if they can get you in terms of your character, if you are someone who values your self-esteem and all of that, you will compromise on competence if you have a compromised character.
Yeah.
And those are things that may not be in the letters that the CJN has expressed, but there are also things that I think, to a large extent, will play up.
Yeah, but okay. Yeah,
I think again, to in my own understanding, as a judge, they are just different from every other human being. You don't see, because they don't socialize like every other person. So there are areas in which I expect them to even be more careful about. And secondly, even in the area of remuneration, their salary is, the payment, the mode of payment of their salary is different from every other because it's from consolidated revenue account. So if a life, as a judge, you know that your ruling could destroy
or make.
And again, there are two judges of human actions, conscience and history. History is the bigger, in fact, it's the biggest judge. So as a judge, I expect you to, allow your name to be printed in gold. Because that is even much more important.
You have a choice. Bola, it is said that in soccer or football, a referee is a judge of intentions.
Yes.
But at the law court, the judge is a different ballgame.
Yes.
So
you are talking of law.
Yes.
Precedents.
An interpretation of that law.
Of that law. And not only that, you see, you can't decide on your own based on, what even the law says. Is the argument they put forward to you. You understand me? If they are not asking, for one thing, and you give it to them, they will say, what? Your decision is ultra fire. That is where the problem is. But one thing is about what is said that is giving it to, the judiciary for defending democracy. They didn't sit down there. People went to them. That is the more reason we should thank people like Gani Fawahimi. He did well. There was even a time they call him, busybody. I remember very well.
Yeah.
There are people like that. We should celebrate them. We should remember them. These people went there to test the water, to say that, look, that is the more reason we are enjoying most of, the thing we are enjoying.
And we should eulogize, it won't be out of place to eulogize justices like the late Chukwudifu Oputa.
Yes, Oputa. I agree.
Justice Shoemimo.
And Kayode
Esho, yes.
And these are the people who laid the precedent that my dear colleague here, mentioned. The judiciary has been, is always on, whether it's a military rule or civil rule. The judiciary is there, even if the constitution is on suspension. And there has to be a decree. They have to look at it. Okay, we're not using the constitution, we're using decrees. They still have to, ride with that one way or another. They give it to the judiciary, but then the judiciary is made of human beings.
I think they even say that it's the last hope of
the common man. And it wants to remain the last hope. That's the judiciary. In Nigeria, at least, it wants to remain the last hope of the common man. Now, moving on, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, cannot wait to reinvent itself, more so ahead of the next general elections. The electoral body fired 2 of its staffers for their alleged role in a reported electoral scandal involving the Kogi State Chief Executive Yahya Bello. the governor is alleged to have been doubly registered by INEC or in the in the ongoing continuous voter registration CVR. Let me start with you, Bola. Is it possible for a governor to have been registered 2 times?
You see, there's no perfect crime. There's no perfect crime. Let me tell you, to me as a person, is not the only, even if the governor must have registered twice.
Been registered?
Or must have been registered. No. Look, it's not that he just sat there.
Twice, would they?
No. No, the issue is this. It's not that he just sat there and somebody said, come, you must be registered.
Yeah.
No, it's not possible.
If he submitted himself twice?
Twice. He submitted himself twice. And you see, look, if you look at, I'm sorry to say, if the action took place indeed, what I'm telling you is that something must have gone into the governor to do what he did. Not only that, at that particular point in time that the scenario took place, I will tell you that allegedly took place.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, please, my brothers, it wouldn't have been only the governor that did that. Look, what I'm saying is that the timing and the dates, INEC should go and check very well again. I'm telling you, because the avenue couldn't have been for the governor alone. I'm sorry to say.
Okay.
It couldn't have been. Many other people were involved.
Okay.
They should look and trash the name of those people. Because, see, the issue is that...
There shouldn't be a fall guy here.
I'm telling you,
everybody
other
deemed
people,
to be...
Yes, other people involved, culpable, should be dealt with equally. And their name removed.
Afolabi, hear this. The counterpoint, the counter-argument of the government is this. I left this country on May 19, and it is said I registered for a second time on May 23rd. I was out of the country from the 19th of May to Dubai.
I think the available record shows that the governor got the first registration was on January 30, 2011.
Yeah.
And the second one was on May 23rd, 2017. Allegedly, in different locations.
Yeah.
I think let's go by history, because history will always help us to make some analysis. I'm sure even if never even knew that I would become a governor. In my understanding, if not because of what happened to
that's,
so, and again, let's also give it to Jega for introducing some innovation into, INEC understanding of Nigerian politics. Because what I expect, maybe we should also upgrade our system. There is every possibility of human error in anything we do.
Yeah.
If you have registered once, if you have an upgraded or a well, structured system, if you want to register twice, the system should be able to give you a knockout, in my understanding.
So begs the question of why is INEC not going the E-way?
No. The INEC is even, because it's becoming more, the INEC we have now is even becoming E-way. Because take, for instance, you are to vote.
If it was May this year, if the governor made to get registered a second time, the E should have told us.
You know that
the system picked him out. The system.
Man is greater than the system. And to me, there are some things that might appear difficult but not impossible for Nigerian setting. But I think, to me, the governor did not obey the law of caution in the kind of technologically advanced settings we have. One must be very careful, because this is not a very good precedent.
Yes.
It's not a very good precedent. I'm sure the second registration was it was compelled to the so-called second registration was done in Kogi State.
Yes. But
for strategic reasons, because it will look funny that I, as a governor, I can't even vote.
No, you can't vote.
Yeah, no, I can't even.
I can't even from Abuja.
I as a governor must have some electoral tie, to my base. Yeah. Sometimes logic follows that.
The way I would put this, if this was done electronically, then just as you said, it's not possible to have double registration. But you know, the first question that came to my mind, two things came to my mind. Number one is the fact that maybe INEC should go fully electronic and come up with their own operating system. They have their own dedicated operating system. I mean, the banking industry has one.
Yes.
I don't know which one they use now. At some point they were using Finacle. Whether that one has changed, I don't know. But they should have an operating system for just them, because 200 million people, like say 60% of that population is voting. That will put us in the region of say 100 and something million people. So that should qualify us for an operating system of our own. The second thing that came to my mind is that where is NIMC? If we had one ID card, okay, one card answers your banking, your social security, your driver license, your voter card, it won't be duplicated. It's biometric generated. Why do we need to get anything else? So those are the two questions that came to my mind.
That's a standard of advanced countries, because with your social security number, even if you relocate to another state in the United States, it will fish you out. Sure. Your location will always
and I can also imagine
but
how
I don't know
much
whether
money has been expended over the years. I'm talking about some 5, 10, maybe 15 years now. We've been talking about registering every Nigerian for us to have data management system and everything in place. Sure. So you don't have a different driver license, banking regulations, police, and all of it. Everything should just be one card. Answers all.
I went for my BVN. Whatever data came out of the system should take me anywhere.
Answer for anything else.
But quickly, before I forget this, 2 INEC staffers have been given the slammer, the hammer.
Ask them how much they collected, if it happened.
Meanwhile, the governor says they must have registered my ghost, not me.
See, let me tell you one thing. For INEC to have said what they said, they knew what they said, and they knew what they found out. Let me tell you, I'm not being legalistic, and I don't have anything against the governor. He's the finest governor I ever seen in Nigeria, a young chap. But for all these controversies to be rallying around him, I think he should do something about it. See, look, I'm giving it to INEC.
Should he go to court?
He should go to court.
I thought INEC said they wanted to go to court.
See,
they wanted to sue him.
In the first instance.
No, he's enjoying immunity.
See, in the first instance, you understand, I'm giving it to INEC. They found something. They found that something was wrong. And they said, look, this was what happened. And then they announced it. For them to have done that, let's give that to them. It's now left for the governor to clear himself.
That is on the assumption that INEC has done due diligence.
Yes.
Because INEC also could be fallible.
That is, and now my argument here is that these guys have been summarily dismissed by INEC. Because INEC in this situation, that's
there must have been, due diligence in the house.
No, INEC is not a court of law. INEC is not a court of law. These are institutional.
Administratively, they must have asked questions now.
Okay, take for instance the gentleman.
Sorry, put simply, INEC found the 2 staffers culpable.
Yes, culpable.
That's all. So and sack them.
Sack them.
So,
and the governor responded that they must have registered my ghost. So if those 2 gentlemen felt that, look, we were wrongly dismissed,
they should go to court.
They should go to court. Yes, they should go to court.
They should go to court.
Simply put, there are many court cases waiting.
Yes, you know what's interesting? I don't know if you remember what I told you, that all that we have discussed today has been about the judiciary.
Yes.
And certainly I don't envy those.
See, it's quite unfortunate. In the first instance, what we are experiencing in terms of the issue of INEC, the judiciary, and the other case, we've been talking of due diligence. We've been talking of order.
Which is the basis of democracy.
The basis of
which
democracy.
Is the basis. Which is the beauty of democracy.
And then, in as much as that, please, we Nigerians should be above board. We have many things to face than, facing this terrible issue.
No, this thing you are even looking at is even the basis of democracy. If INEC as an institution,
brother, you've been talking
if INEC,
basis of democracy.
if INEC as an
If
INEC as an institution is not properly structured, is not doing the right thing, then there will be a problem. Because that is they are the alpha and omega of democracy in Nigeria.
Okay. And so, gentlemen, for the avoidance of doubt, INEC's National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Solomon Shoyebi, made the allegation.
Yes.
So that's another angle to it.
Yes.
How do you close quickly?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a nice day, but what I'm saying is that, look, we must be above board in this country.
Okay.
My submission is very simple. For beauty of democracy in Nigeria to be further enhanced, due process, which is the basis of rule of law, is not negotiable and is not excusable. Thank you very much.
Let every Nigerian not get carried away by the headlines of the newspapers or the radio or the television. When you see the headline, let it take you to dig further into it, because it's so easy and so convenient to be easily misled.
All right, on that note, let me say this. If ever you feel aggrieved, please go to court. Go to court. And go to court. That will just about do it for the program today. Bola Olajuwon, thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you.
Afolabi Akinola, many
pleasure.
thanks. Ayo Makinde. Okay then, so you're thinking Christmas? I'm thinking country as well as Christmas. Hangout, the journalist Hangout, this particular episode will be repeated at 11 later on today. And of course, you can also watch Journalist Hangout on other platforms showing on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. For now, I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Bye-bye. Take care of yourself.